So here we go. Matt, thank you for coming on the call. So we were just wanted to chat a bit about, obviously we've done a recent comp prep, which unfortunately got cancelled, and I thought it'd be quite nice for us to have a bit of chat about how we got to where it was compared to where we started. But for those of you that haven't seen you through my page or know you from the gym anyway, do you just want to introduce yourself just a little bit before we get started?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Matt. I'm a qualified physiotherapist. I'm the owner of Atlas Physio Clinic. It's based in New York. And now I'm 40 years old. And I think the 40 is the magic number that's got me going into actually getting in shape and stuff like that. So that's the whole story behind it, me being 40.
Looking naughty at 40. Yeah, because that's how because when was it we originally spoke about this? I mean, I know we started earlier this year, but I think it was the back end of last year where you mentioned it.
Exactly. Yeah, so I think after my 39th birthday, it was in September.
Yeah.
I remember like a month or two later, I started planning my 2020, what I wanted to do, like in terms of holiday, when I'm going to take a break. My birthday was supposed to be like a big party and me going away and doing stuff.
Yeah.
And at that same time, I thought like, oh, I'm out of shape. I started training just recently, at that time with Tadas. My training started going great. And I thought, so my goal was to get in shape for my 40th birthday, to be like literally the best shape I can be.
Yeah.
So that was the whole idea. And I spoke to you that I'll be interested to start working with you in the new year. And then obviously the 2020.
Yeah, the year that never was. Yeah, because we started in, was it May? May,
yes.
Something like that.
So basically, I still remember that date. So we were in lockdown.
Yeah.
I just managed to like pick up some weights and stuff like that. I was like training just at home with bands and stuff like that. And I literally remember that one morning I woke up, went to the bathroom, I looked in the mirror, and I was like, right. It was like 6 o'clock. I like to get up early, so I was just literally waiting like 9:30. I was like, I'm messaging Jake today. I'm starting. I had enough. I need to get ready. I need to start this diet now.
and it was quite a nice time because obviously with it being lockdown minus, we didn't have the availability of the gym. It was almost a perfect time for people wanting to sort of prioritize fat loss to do that because there's essentially no distractions. Obviously now we're in day 2 of the second lockdown. And albeit there's a few things that are still open, there's very little distractions or very little reasons not to prioritise. You know, finances depending, obviously, if you're fortunate in that position. There's very little distractions to not prioritise losing weight if that is what you want to do, or getting lean, depending on, you know, how far you're along in terms of whether you're just general fat loss or like yourself wanting to develop into a comp prep, which we didn't even know at the start, to be fair. It did just start out as wanting to get in the best shape of your life for your 40th, wasn't it? Alongside, obviously, with Tadas still doing all your programming and training and stuff like that, which has made a huge difference. Like
it did. Honestly, I like not having much weight and stuff like that. The program I had, I was just like sore all the time. Like still managed to.
Yeah, it's just testament to how hard you train in the gym. Obviously, having seen you train loads in your gym anyway, knowing how far you push yourself, paired with how far Tadas pushes people, whether they want to do it or not. It is a sight to see when you guys are training together in the gym. It's mint. So, I mean, yeah, when we started, it was literally just a case of implementing a bit of a better eating habit, wasn't it, and getting you moving a bit more. There was nothing technical to it. It was, you know, very, very sort of simple and just basic in terms of it just needed to be consistent and routine daily, didn't it?
I just found that I needed like some sort of structure because I have some knowledge about nutrition and how I should eat, but without that structure, I would eat clean for, let's say, 2-3 days, and then something would happen. I get distracted. Food was not prepped or anything like that. But having that structure, having that written plan, and you wake up in the morning, look, this is what I eat, and prep your food for a few days or for the week and stuff like that. That's what I needed at that time, basically, some kind of focus and structure.
Yeah,
and that's what really helped me.
That is what's key. Like I said, having that black and white plan in front of you, this is what I'm going to be doing, and also having someone like myself or Tadas there that you know you're going to be essentially checking in with to keep you accountable. So you've got no reason to not stick to it, really. makes a huge difference. And it does make it makes it seem so much easier, because I know that in the past when I've prepped myself for like photo shoots and stuff, it's constantly on my mind what I need to do with my food. Do I need to change things? And it's all that it consumes your thoughts every day. Whereas when it's someone else doing it, when you've got a coach, it's still on your mind, but you can relax in the sense that, well, they're sorting it out. I just need to follow the plan and it's all going to be fine.
I found that being so much more relaxed, because like I had my training done for me. I had my nutrition done for me. All I had to do is just prep my food and make sure I did my training. In the past, I managed to get in shape quite a few times for summer or stuff like that. But I had to plan my training. I had to plan my nutrition. And yeah, when you do it for yourself, it's so stressful because your mind is going all over the place. Am I doing the right thing? Shall I change now or shall I wait? When you have a coach, you can just relax. They do this stuff for you and you just follow the plan and that's it. And it's just so like massive help.
I know, I remember the first time I did a proper cut with a coach, and I got leaner than I'd ever got before without one, without even sort of realising I was dieting in a sense. It was almost just like, it was, you know, it wasn't to the extent of a comp where you feel like you're dieting, but it was very much to an extent where I was like, I can't believe how much easier and less stressful this is, because you're just not thinking about it. But we noticed quite a lot of change pretty early on, even just from as soon as we got the plan in place and you started following it. Your body just started changing every week. Like, I think we were losing something like 1 kilo to 1.5 kilos every week, just without even really needing to change anything, which was great because it meant you were dieting on. I think we started on about 3,000-ish, high 2,000, 3,000 calories a day, roughly. Which was great to see. So I remember Can you remember how many weeks in we were before you decided to do a comp? I think, was it about 12 or something like that? Or maybe
something like that. I know it was like towards the end of July, mid-July, end of July.
Yeah, because I remember the morning, because I was still in York at the time, and I did my check-ins in the bedroom at that point because the flat was so small. It was the only sort of space in the flat I could get to do work. And obviously, with our check-in photos every week, it was just sort of stood straight, facing the camera, side on and from the back, no posing or anything. And I remember you sending your check-in photos through that morning, and you'd done a couple of little poses, just sort of nothing like comp level like you were doing now, but just a couple of little poses. And I looked at them and I was like, you could do a comp here. Like, you're looking good with your posing. And then literally about an hour later, you send me a voice note saying that you want to do a comp, and you know what my thoughts on it were. And I
because like
from the photos.
A couple of people mentioned to me that I should think about competing and stuff like that, and I wasn't sure about it. Didn't feel confident enough. But then when I was doing the photos, I thought I'll try to hit a few poses, see what I think about the pictures, and then obviously I send them to you, and I'll send you a message. I'm thinking about competing, and then obviously it took some time for you to reply and for Tadas to reply, and I was like, those guys probably think I'm insane and stupid for even thinking about it. But then yours and Tadas' response was so nice and stuff, and that's what got me like. That's when the switch came.
Well, for me, obviously, the first thing I did was thinking about it. Was spoke to Sophie about it. Obviously living with her, and I was just excited as soon as you mentioned it. Nervous because, as I said to you, the important thing was to me was I hadn't done that for someone, up to the point. So it was a new experience for me. It was something I was confident I could do, and I always wanted to try. But it wasn't something I had done. So that was the only thing for me that I wanted to make clear to you and make sure that you were okay with, which obviously you were, thankfully. And then just sorting out with Tadas how we were going to work it in terms of making sure that the training and nutrition and matching and all that kind of thing. But to be honest, we had a couple of meetings, me and Tad, and obviously we had the group chat, but it sort of just ran itself. It's not until the it wouldn't have been until probably this sort of stage, a few weeks out from the show, where we would have had to have started looking at managing and manipulating those training variables alongside the nutrition to make sure that we weren't doing too much or taking it like we did. I mean, we got to that point where we were speaking about it on WhatsApp about tapering the training down slightly in terms of intensity, just so we don't risk injury this far away, because we were I mean, we got to a point where you were literally there, weren't you, physique-wise? I mean, you're still pretty much sitting there anyway, but you were literally there, ready for the show.
And I was like, there was a period when I was hitting PBs literally every single week.
Yeah, yeah.
It was just crazy. I was dieting, my strength was going up and up and up, and the training was just getting more and more intense.
Yeah.
And then we got to the point where the calories were started dropping even more, and that's when I was like, okay, that's it. We need to stop, and we need to just focus on that. But that's what made my physique, you know, change so much, because I was training so intense, so heavy.
Yeah.
With the nutrition, it was just like I could see like the changes like literally daily, and the vascularity.
Yeah, the differences in your physique, certainly around your sort of shoulders. Like I was looking the other day back at the sort of comparison from the start and to now, and obviously your shoulders are going to look more pronounced anyway because of how narrow your waist is compared to when we started, and sort of how much tighter everything is. But just the width and the actual density of your shoulders since we started, it's like they've doubled. It is just ridiculous how much progress they seem to have made. And that is amazing to see. Obviously, to do that during not only a comp prep, but your first comp prep as well is phenomenal. And again, it's just testament to you and Tad in terms of the training and the recovery side of things with nutrition. But for me, that's where it's been such almost an easy job from a coaching perspective, because you are literally like a robot client. You know, me and Tad will give you the plan and you just crack on with it, and we know that whatever we recommend or advise for you to do, you're just going to go away and do it. There's no questions asked. There's never going to skip a bit. I don't think we ever had one missed check-in or one off day or anything throughout the whole thing. It was just
no, almost like since May, I was talking to somebody the other day, I've not missed a single training session, and I've not missed a single meal, and I've not missed anything. It was just, in lockdown, it was really easy because like my schedule was a lot more relaxed. And then when I started reopen the clinic, that's when things were obviously, I wouldn't say got difficult, but I had to plan things even more and manage them. And then when we added the cardio on top of the training and everything, that's when things got really, like, I wouldn't say tricky, but I had to really schedule so basically my day would be, I would start at 4:30 in the morning. I would get up at 4:30 to get ready to get to the gym for 6 a.m. to do my cardio, and I would work till like 6, 7 o'clock, then gym session night time, and all the cooking on the evening. So it was just like 7 days a week, 4:30 getting up, getting the gym done. But if you want something, you'll find a way to do it. You basically, you just have to get up early or go to bed early or stay up late. You cook your food and you just crack on with it, and you just have to do it. So
100%, you've hit the nail on the head, because a lot of the times, you know, it has to be, certainly to when you're doing a comp prep, but it has to be a priority. It has to take precedence over near enough everything else in your life at that time. Unfortunately, that's what it requires. And when I've had conversations in the past with, you know, people wanting to lose a bit of weight or anything, and they sort of complain that they don't have the time. A lot of the time, the issue isn't that they don't have the time; it's that it's just not a priority, which is fine. You know, it doesn't. If that's not a priority, that's fine. Maybe it will be later down the line, but that's where I think you've got to be honest with yourself and be accountable, and really sort of step up and be like, this. If this is what you want, this is what it's going to take. And just do it, and just get on and do it. There's no messing about or anything. And I mean, we worked in, certainly in the earlier days, we worked in pizzas and off-plan meals and curries and stuff like that, like every sort of, it wasn't that often, but every sort of other weekend to begin with, until we got to the sort of comp prep stage. So it wasn't like we couldn't enjoy off-plan foods. Obviously, they were all accounted for. It's just that planning ahead and being like, right, you know, on a Wednesday or a Thursday, right, you would message me like, on Saturday, I think I fancy a pizza. How can we work that in? And we work it out that way. But doing it that way means that you can have the best of both worlds in a sense. You've just got to be organised.
Yeah. But then obviously when we decided to do the comp prep, that was it. Like even on my birthday, you said I could have pizza and stuff, and then I called you last minute. I was like, no, I'm not having a pizza. Like,
yeah, I remember, because we were in the gym, weren't we? And was it Dina that was telling me I needed to work in some cake for you on your birthday? And I was like, look, if you want cake, we can work in cake. And I remember you WhatsApping me being like, no, I don't want anything. We're just going to work through it, and we're going to get it done, which was class. And I think with the comp prep, I think the biggest difference from a physique point of view was when we started to carb cycle, which I think we changed up about 9 or 10 weeks out from the original date, because it got pushed back from even the original date, didn't it? Which was meant to, you know, around your sort of birthday. It's not been an easy road to get the end result that we did. We had the date pushed back, then cancelled, then a photo shoot booked, then lockdown, so the photo shoot's cancelled. And it's the fact that you sort of just kept your head down and kept going regardless of what was happening was, you know, again, is testament just to how good the results are, because that would have been a struggle, understandably, for a lot of people with it just getting cancelled or changed time after time, not really knowing when the end is going to be. But how did you find that? What sort of kept you going during when that was happening?
So basically, I remember I was at the gym. I had a really, really good session that one evening. When I came out, I looked at my phone and I had so many messages from different people on Instagram, WhatsApp and stuff like that. I was like, what is going on? And then when I opened first message, everything was about the comp. Everyone's just messaging, have you heard the comp's been cancelled and stuff like that. And I literally remember I was sat in the car for like 10, 15 minutes. I didn't know what to do. First thoughts were like just locating where the nearest pizza place was. That was my first thought. And then as I was just about to drive off, you obviously messaged me when we started talking about, you know, let's plan something different and da-da-da. And I said, just give me a couple of days. I need to think about it. But honestly, I drove home. By the time I got home, I was back on my post-workout meal.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, let's do it. Like, I can't control what's happening around me, but I can control what I eat, what I do.
Yeah.
And then obviously the mention of having a photo shoot and stuff like that, I was like, yeah, I'll use that at least. Like, I'm not far off. It was different to be motivated for that, because at that stage, your body is struggling. You're suffering a little bit.
It is, and at that point, you're already, you know, you were near enough comp ready, minus a few weeks. So if you're nearly comp ready, you're certainly ready for a shoot. Like, we could have done the shoot, you know, the next day, and you'd have looked awesome for it. So it's very difficult to be like, well, it's still going to be another 3 or 4 weeks of dieting. But for me, I remember when I mentioned about the shoot, just made sense for me, because I was just sort of, my initial mindset was back to that, right, well, the initial goal was to get you in the best shape of your life for your 40th. I want you to at least come out of this with some sort of catalogue of evidence that you did that, and you have that then to take with you, you know, for the rest of your life. And it did make me laugh, because like you said, we sort of spoke about it, and you sort of mentioned you wanted a couple of days just to get your head right and think about it and decide what you wanted to do, understandably. So I think I sent you a couple of options for different photographers that I knew of, and sort of just left it with you, expecting not to hear from you for a couple of days on that sense. And then literally about an hour later, you were like, right, I've got a photo shoot booked with this person, it's on this date. And I was like, okay, we're ready then, we've decided. You need that time to almost process it, don't you, and just sort of get it, understand it, and then just decide what you're going to do from there. Arguably, you did that a lot quicker than most people would.
Yeah.
It was impressive.
I think that it was the whole thing. I really enjoyed the whole process.
Yeah.
Was and it, like, as bad this whole year still is, and crazy with everything. This kept me so like kind of focused and motivated, and pushed me to do other things, like with business and with everything else. So having that goal, that it just kept me going. It just
that was, again,
you can either sit down and try, give up, or you can just get yourself motivated, find a focused goal, and do something different. You know, I've not had birthday, I've not had holiday, I've not had birthday party, I could not see my family or anyone, but fine. You know, I had this, so just to keep me going, and I had a nice focus and stuff, and then it's part of life. You have to just adapt and find positives in all the craziness.
100%. And like you said, it amazed me. It didn't amaze me. It certainly didn't surprise me how positive and just sort of motivated you were throughout all of it. You never complained. You were never sort of moaning that you were hungry or tired or run down. I mean, sure, yeah, you know, we had days where it's like we might need to do a bit of a refeed soon because you're obviously fatigued and you know, you're not recovering properly. That's normal, but throughout the whole thing, you were literally just every day, you were just enjoying the process, staying motivated, which is such a refreshing thing to see, because I think so often you see people, you know, do this process and just sort of complain about it day after day. And it's sort of like, you know, no one's forcing you to do it. You've made this choice to do it. You enjoy it. And you literally did that. You just went through it every day, just enjoying it, putting everything into it, and didn't complain once at all. You just kept going and going. And the refeeds helped with that. It was impressive because obviously when we first started doing the refeeds, I sort of worked it so that we would refeed until your weight either stopped dropping or went up a pound or two. And then we dropped back into normal dieting carbs and calories. But what impressed me was the last refeed we did, where we did a couple of 500 gram days. Your weight went up by about a kilo, didn't it, after that 500 gram day, after being pretty depleted before that and on low calories for a while. It went up by a kilo in a day. And instead of dropping back down like we would have done, or potentially would have done a few weeks before, I wanted us to push it a little bit more and see how you did. So we did another, I think maybe 400 day after that. And even though your weight went up another kilo, you were 2 kilos up after 2 days. Your physique literally had never looked better. You were tighter than when we started the refeed. You were a hell of a lot fuller. And it just shows that certainly when it comes to comp reps like this, obviously this is the first for me as well, but scale weight isn't really all it's cracked up to be. Like, you have to go off of the condition, which is why obviously we started doing checking photos every day, seeing how your condition was, how your energy was, how you were feeling, and then sort of judging it based off of that more than the scales. The scales just became secondary after a while. We didn't really, obviously we weighed in, but it was just a guide more than anything. We were going much more on actually how you were looking and feeling and performing. And yeah, after even putting 2 kilos on and looking leaner and fuller than you did the few days before, it was crazy.
Yeah, I remember, like waking up in the morning and after refeeds and stuff like that, the physique would be just completely different, and everything just looked and felt better, like with each refeed. So yeah, but it was good to having those periods when you were pushing, and then refeed, and then you could actually assess what your physique really looks like. Because when you get like so depleted, you look really soft. Your skin doesn't, push against the muscle, so you feel like you were fat actually. But once you push those calves, the muscle push against the skin, you start feeling it, and then actually, it actually looks a lot better than I thought. And so
it tightens up.
Then we start increasing the water. That was another great thing, because when we upped the water to like 6-7 liters.
Because you were pretty much there. We had a little bit left off your lower abs to sort of take off, but that was coming off anyway. Because you were near enough there, and we were more to a point of almost trying to maintain what you had. And we started increasing carbs a little bit more. Because obviously with more carbs comes more water retention. So I wanted to increase water to just any sort of increase in muscle glycogen storage we would have as a result of the more carbs. If we can put a bit more water in, that should help carry a bit more water into the muscle with it. And it did seem to work really nice for you, because you did, again, look even fuller when we did that, which was class. I am looking forward to seeing the photos that you've done with James. I assume you'll be getting those back in a couple of days, I think. Well, yeah, that'd be nice to see and go from there. But yeah, it's just like, it's been such an enjoyable process from day one to go into the sort of lengths and extremes that we did, and to get the results that we've got. Because when you put them side by side, it is literally just ridiculous how different your physique looks compared to when we started. When you look back to that start photo now, what does it make you think? How do you feel?
No. I saw it the other day. I looked at it first time since we started, and I just could not believe it. Like, it's nice to kind of post things like that, but at the same time, it's just so embarrassing. I got myself into that state, but now, obviously, showing that it's possible for anyone to do. Like, no matter what your job is, no matter what you do, what age you are, you can do it anytime. And, but for me, it's like, I just want to say like a massive thank you, obviously, to you and to Tadas for all the support and stuff, because that, when you have like a day when you're tired or whatever, like that one little message or tap on the back at the gym or whatever, it keeps you going. And also I want to say thank you to all the guys at Ultraplex. Honestly, the amount of nice comments I had, and people like supporting me throughout this whole process was just absolutely overwhelming. It's, you know, including the staff and the members, and everyone was just so nice. I was just like, it really got me like excited and almost overwhelmed like by the support I was getting. Like when I was at the gym in person, or like messages on Instagram and stuff. It's really nice. And even the comments that have motivated people to train harder or to improve their physique. That was absolutely amazing, because I never expected to have such an impact on other people as well, which is great. I'm really pleased with that.
It was nice, even from, obviously you messaged me through a few times when certain like people in the gym would give you compliments. Obviously not every time, because you were getting a hell of a lot of them and still are. But even when I was in training and sort of you'd be in there training with Tad or something, and I could see people going up and talking to you constantly sort of trying to, you know, give you compliments or ask what you were doing, you know, what you've done different with your training and diet and all that kind of thing. And it is nice to see that you're getting the recognition that is deserved, because the amount of work you put into it. It's nice to see that people notice it and actually feel enough of a need to go up and be like, shit, you look phenomenal. What are you looking at? Even obviously me seeing obviously I saw your physique. I've seen it pretty much every other day, at least for the last, you know, 3 or 4 months. And even just seeing it by photos, and then when I've seen you in the gym training with Tad, and it's just completely different. And it's just, even when I walk in and I see you training, I'm like, fucking hell. Like, the photos don't do it justice. It's bad every time. Like, I literally see it every day, and it still surprises me every time I walk in, like how much different it looks in person and how much fuller it looks in person as well. It was class to see. It's a shame that obviously we're not still over there now. But yeah, it's been my pleasure, mate. It's been absolutely my pleasure. I've loved every minute of it. So thank you for trusting me with getting you, you know, essentially there. It is a huge shame that it obviously ended up getting cancelled, but I suppose it was always going to be a risk with the year that we've had. But definitely big things to come for you next year. Exciting plans for you next year. That'll be very interesting and very exciting to watch you develop into next year and see what goes on there.
Absolutely.
Right.
No, but I really enjoyed the whole process, everything. Yeah, and I just can't wait and hope the next year it'll be slightly better for everyone.
Cross, man.
And a lot of people can go back to competing, doing sports, and doing all the stuff that we like.
Yeah. Right, mate. We'll call it a day there.
Yeah.
And I shall.
Thanks very much for speaking to me.
My pleasure, mate. Thanks for coming on the call, and I'll speak to you soon, Matt.
Thank you.
Cheers, bud.
Cheers. All the best.